Hey, it's me, Joey Only Caribou Weather Dude. I have a lot of bad news for you in this forecast. This is a critical forecast for British Columbia. Dangerous weekend ahead for BC. Wildfire conditions are punching extreme, and we have major thunderstorm outbreaks coming through British Columbia. So buckle in, this is going to be a lot of bad news. There it is. This is bad news. My God.
Falling out right now.
Anything could happen. Get on! Wow.
I'll watch the video later.
They dry mop in this. So looking at Friday, the 19th of July, as being what could be one of those big weekends for BC. And I'm not saying there won't be another big weekend ahead, but often something like this is the event of the summer. Big winds are going to be an issue. Big heat's going to be an issue. Big thunderstorms are going to be an issue tomorrow. And tomorrow's not the only day with big issues ahead of us. We're going to have a widespread thunderstorm outbreak, and it may be even larger than we expected. I'm expecting that a lot of this B region is going to go into the yellow tomorrow for moderate or even high chance, maybe up north for severe thunderstorms. This is going to kick off. The piece is going to be pretty bad. We're going to look at everything. We're going to try to get a handle on all of it. So this might be a little bit of a long video, but stay patient because I got lots of information for you. So one of our main issues driving this instability is this guy out in the ocean, this low. Not that low, but low enough. Lower than everything else around, substantially. And he's been trying to sort of track north or reform as a different, an inland low as it moves north. So we have fronts that are going to come off the storm that are going to impact all of BC. Now we're just looking at Friday at 11 a.m. and we're looking at convective available potential energy, and we're looking at the Peace region most specifically for being an area that is set to have some very large values tomorrow. Very large values, depending on which model we look at. We're going to see a lot of these 1500s and plus. So we're talking about on this side of the Rockies, very strong setup for what will be severe thunderstorms, particularly later in the day. The surface-based convective available potential energy shows up there, but it shows up along a wide stretch of the BC, the East Flank Mountains, right? Up the Kootenays, specifically into central BC, but large, and you're going to see the whole prairie is going to break out in thunderstorms tomorrow. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous. All the ingredients are there for us. We look at the supercell composite. We see that potential in British Columbia for supercellular thunderstorms on Friday, and that could include Prince George and north, right? So we got target areas where there's going to be a lot of disagreement in the models about the exact location of these storms and how much further out can they spread. Does the smoke in the southern interior, make it all but impossible for storms to fire down here? Well, I don't think we're going to see a lot in those southern sections, but we look at convective inhibition. How able are storms to turn convective? Well, it looks like the central interior may be a lot more able to fire storms to get them started. Just to give you an idea, I got helicity, hail parameters, mesoconvective system parameters. I've got CAPE parameters. So I got a bunch of stuff on here. So this is probably more than you can understand. That's fine. You don't need to. Certainly what we do see very clearly in that the hail spike that we can see into the piece, right? So this hail spike looking like late afternoon, supercellular behavior. Deep colors in there, potential for hail to be quite large, and moving through the night, nocturnal storm. So I expect to see in that northeast corner of BC and moving into Alberta through the night, we're going to see that storm continue all night long, I think, in some places. So I'm trying to paint a picture here of what would be a very unstable atmosphere coming into BC as we see this low, and this low is trying to push in. It's starting to move north, like we said, and that high pressure in the Pacific has started to take over like we said it would. Maybe the timing of what I said it would be hasn't lined up exactly, but we definitely can see that it is doing that exact same thing that we expected. We're seeing it move up towards the northeast, and we're seeing this high pressure starting to take over all the Pacific. And if we just jump ahead a couple days, you'll see that high pressure become very strong, and then we'll be getting our weather more from the North Pacific at that point than we've been getting. So there's a change coming in this weather. There is good news. We are going to at some point break through to some cooler temperatures next week. But to get there, we got to go through all hell. And when thunderstorms start early tomorrow, the chance for them to start very early, breaking out across the Rocky Mountains, up and down, and then spilling into the Caribou as we get towards supper time hour with some possibly strong storms. But we see some blobs here that are very purple and very intense looking. By 1 o'clock in the afternoon at Fort St. John, we could have all hell breaking loose. And wherever this goes, if this comes together like so, wherever this goes is going to be severe thunderstorm potential through the roof. It's going to happen. So widespread thunderstorms up the northwest, through the Prince George Caribou, out towards Francois Lakes, Vanderhoof area, up into the Dominica, up through Mackenzie, Williston, and most especially that Peace area. That's what we're really looking at. And unfortunately, it's not the only time we're going to see thunderstorms break out there. So the models are all varying a little bit, but they're all showing more or less the same things, right? They're all more or less showing. So we get a bit of a break on Saturday. That's nice, but we got wind problems, and we'll talk about that. We got high heat problems, and we'll talk about that. And then Sunday we see again thunderstorms starting to pop off up the north, and that's interesting. They don't get a lot of big time thunderstorms up there. It doesn't really happen there much. It's not Sunday that I'm looking at so much, and I've been kind of watching this day on the calendar because on Monday, and it hasn't really changed, it's been either Monday or Tuesday, but this more or less seems to be the effect they expect. We're going to have one of these days a big thunderstorm outbreak. I've been kind of talking about it in the last bunch of videos, saying like we're going to see a larger thunderstorm outbreak when this weather changes. And this could be almighty. I mean, wow, if we get through Friday and find ourselves in Monday with this going on, and with the heat we've got, with the instability that's being triggered by the low, you fucking believe it's going to happen. Okay, I'm not kidding you right now. Be ready. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to, like, in the most sincere and strongest way possible, explain to you that when this low develops into the interior through next week, it is going to trigger a massive thunderstorm. It's going to trigger a massive temperature change. We're going to be looking sometime late next week at weather that's not near as hot as it's been. Weather coming from the north. But we got to get through Monday, Tuesday, and they could be all-nighters. These won't be the exact locations of this or that. You know, things are going to change a little bit in the models, but they've been pretty firm. And now we're only looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days out, starting to get into that track of forecasting. When it's like we're starting to get into a more reliable, predictable window here, where 5 days out, you can usually start to say, well, it's probably going to start. And when you get to 48 hours, you can be sure. So we'll be looking at Monday. We'll be sitting there on Saturday and Sunday looking at Monday, because those will be the days that we know for sure what's going to happen, right? We got to get through Friday and first see what all this weather does when it moves through on Friday. But yeah, you're going to see a remarkable temperature change when all this happens. But until then, you're still talking Monday, some ridiculous heat. And that's what's going to help fire these thunderstorms up, and it's going to be fucking bad. And it's already been bad. I don't need to tell you the temperatures anymore. We don't need to look at how many temperature records are broken by too much. Cache Creek, Ashcroft hit 40.5 yesterday. Beat the old record of 38 in 2018 that was set on that date. And, what did the fire get up and do? It took off and it fucking ran. Right? You all saw the headlines and the images, right? So that's what fires are going to do right now, because it's that dry in BC and there's that much heat. And we got a thunderstorm outbreak that's going to light a whole bunch of more fires. So we're going to have a very busy month of August for firefighting. That's no longer in doubt. We survived last week's challenge. Came out okay with just some fires in the Caribou in some places. Here in Wells, we survived, sorta, the last few days with new lightning starts all over Nelson. We survived 2 weeks of record-breaking temperatures. Don't let anyone fucking tell you otherwise. They've been keeping records in Vernon since 1900. And they broke yesterday's all-time high. As I'm filming, lightning detector, what does it say? 196 kilometers away. Which one's this? This is still down by... We did have some more lightning strikes by Myrtle. These are in the far Rockies. These are going to be heading into Alberta very soon, those thunderstorms that are popping up there. But those are indicative. Those are indicative. We're going to come into some bizarre events here. So we know how hot it's been. We know how hot it's been. But you see that the low's changing the story. Here we are at noon. Next week, Thursday, won't be exactly It could be Wednesday, could be Friday, whatever, you know. You get the idea of how I forecast. I mean, we're talking about some generalities because no one exactly knows. We make predictions and we try our best. And I'm not willing to say exactly what the temperature is going to be and exactly what hour of the day that this change is going to manifest. But we know sometime late next week, we know that we're going to have thunderstorms explode from the heat and the instability. We know we're going to have the heat taking a beat. That will help fire behavior, sure. But before we can get to a place of defeating that fire behavior, we have to contemplate some of these high winds that are coming on late Friday afternoon into southern BC. Some of these areas that see fires burning right now, seeing 40s, 50s, maybe 60s at times in places, right? And then anywhere where these thunderstorms are gusting, sure. And you know when these lows come through, they come through with wind. They come through with wind, and you know that wind stokes fires up. It makes them mad. So we got thunderstorm outbreaks, we got wind, we got high heat, we got all the ingredients. We got forests that are dry, BUIs through the roof in a lot of places. You go to depth in the soil and we are getting drier and drier. Getting drier, go to Monday, getting drier. The Northeast is bad. It's in trouble, man. It's in trouble. There's a lot of fire burning up there as it is. There's a lot of effort being expended up there. We're going to have so many new fires from all this lightning before things start to get a little better. So I do have some good news that maybe this will be as bad as it gets. Of course, last year we were shown late in August that it can get bad again in August. It can. You know, we're looking at extreme fire behavior, extreme fire spread conditions, and we already saw extreme fire spread conditions yesterday. So I don't need to convince you, but we are going to see that take a beating back. We got to get through another week of this though, before hopefully this pattern change sets us up for a better situation to start getting ahead on all the fires that are going to be lit. The fuels are extremely dry. Maybe not the biggest thunderstorm day we ever had, but we can't afford a thunderstorm day right now, let alone several. But look, it breaks. You know, we have our big storm outbreak next week, and then we have a pattern change. The high pressure in the north takes over. We start getting more of a flow out of that northwest, make things a little cooler for a while. I firmly believe we're going to see heat again in August after seeing that much of it. But we're going to take, if we can get a couple weeks, a week or two of in the middle of the summer of a nice pattern change like that, we're looking pretty lucky. We're looking pretty lucky. So that will help us. What's happening is gonna make fire situation much worse, but at least it's gonna set us up to be able to deal with it. So last night's fires, Valhalla, seeing some activity, seeing lots of places today that had a little bit of fire activity, where it was enough that showed up on the heat scanners. But just near Highway 3, going through the Creston Selmo Pass, I think people in Nelson were attributed to a little bit of a water bomber show. I'll be honest, this is not the side of town you want to see this on. You know, you want to see this fire here or here, you know, so this is a big time priority, big time concern, big time priority. It's close and very close, like just a couple kilometers from town. Possibly a fire hit there in the Shuswap. I heard there was fires reported from some of those thunderstorms last night down by Lumbee, but I don't see much for activity on here, so that's good. Looks like there was some fire activity in the Porcupine Meadows where a fire was reported yesterday, last night, from a very short storm that hit Kamloops. It was just long enough to start a fire. Looks like we've had some pretty aggressive burning down towards the highway. Yeah, it looks like a pretty active burning day there, and the smoke in the sky told you probably as much. Yeah, and it's definitely coming down towards the highway in some capacity. Excellent break here to say no further past here, but I don't think that's the goal. I think the goal is to make sure it doesn't get this far. So big problem on their hands. Nice in some ways to see that fire activity on that south end more, you know, directing it away from Ashcroft. So on top of the World Park there at Mount Morrow, showing some fire behavior today. So it was pretty active. So lots of new lightning starts in the Kootenays, and I'm sure they haven't found them all yet. Maybe a little bit of activity here in Wells today. Lots of activity in the north today. Pretty busy day up there. Pretty hot. Fires all across Alberta showing a lot of growth and a lot of activity. Fires in Saskatchewan showing a lot of activity. Some of these look pretty big. Even some activity in Manitoba now. Looks like some of our fires in Northwest Territories took some good runs. Far up to the Great Bear Lake, fire activity. Like, what is going on? But Yukon still, we had lots of fire starts, lots of fire reports, but not showing activity now for quite a while up there. We're not looking at a lot of rain the next 3 days. Maybe in the next 5 up north, and that low moves through, and then we get a bit of dousing that will come in the next 10 days, maybe. You know, we knew for a while we were headed towards this, right? And we knew that at some point this was all going to come to a head. That's what it does. The province knows this. They're gearing up resources, sending crews everywhere, calling things in. They know this better than I do. You know, they're getting ready for this, right? So be ready for this. Be ready for hearing more news stories about towns maybe facing evacuations, or big pictures of pyrocumulus clouds, or big thunderstorm outbreaks with lots of new fires. Prepare your mind for these possibilities, and, you know, have your mind sort of made like, well, what am I going to do? Think about that, right? Know that everybody is going to try, but, you know, these are big events that you know, you can play catch up with after, but you can't stop them. You can't stop the weather. You can't stop fires from starting at this point. Like, it's too dry. At some point, we hope to break out of this weather, you know, this dry pattern we've been in for a lot of the last 2 years, and we did for a bit in January. We did, and it bought us time. It bought us time, and then hopefully this next pattern change will buy us some time. So, anyways, I'm on standby with my crew. I spent a day one with them. We don't know where we're going yet. One of our crews was sent here to Wells. I would really like to be one of the crews that gets sent here. It'd be nice to be able to do forecasting still at night and talk to you guys. Let you know what's going on in the world as best I can, but I will keep in touch nonetheless. Even if I can't be full time for a couple weeks, I will do my best to keep putting up images, making quick forecast videos, keeping you in the know. You know, but I really think this next bunch of days is what we got to get through, and everyone's gearing up for it. I'm gearing up for it. My crew's gearing up for it. Everyone's crews are gearing up for it. Yeah, it's going to be a big fire weekend. Going to be a lot of new starts, going to be a lot of fire activity. We got a lot of heat left to get through to next week when we see that pattern change. So stay brave and, you know, keep calm, because this shit's going to happen, you know, and in some ways, try to enjoy the insanity of it for what it is, for being like just one of those moments when you're alive that are just like, wow, everything is crazy. You know, there could be some of that. Could be some of that. I know, that thunderstorm that hit here in Wells and started all these fires was that for me. I was like, that's crazy. I talked a lot. Please join the Patreon, Interior Weather, and patreon.com/Interior Weather Watchers, and find us on Facebook if you live in the British Columbia interior at Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers. Okay, talk to you all soon. Bye for now.